And now we will present to you a slightly different approach to the idea of our meditation today. Once it begins, you may play music along with it to help you go into the altered state that is necessary for you to allow yourself to contemplate the guidance that we will give you. But before that begins, as you are now once again looking at the graphic as it is presented to you, and as you look at the different parallel reality ideas that are presented herein from 1 to 8, you see below that there is the depiction of a wheel with the same numbers upon it. What this simply means is that there are different ways that you can approach how to use this permission slip. You can play with it as a game, which would be our recommendation. Because the idea is that by turning this into a little bit of a game, you will have more fun. You will open up your imagination a little bit more. And these are conducive states to utilizing this permission slip more effectively. So, as you see, this graphic is laid out in bars, 8 bars, but again, below it there is a wheel. If you so desire, it is up to you. You don't have to do it this way. There are many ways to proceed here. But if you so desire, you can actually construct a little spinning wheel, like many of the spinning wheels in some of your games of chance. And as you spin the wheel, then whatever number you land on will be the parallel reality at that moment that you will contemplate and utilize the guidance in the meditation for. If you cannot construct, or simply prefer not to construct a spinning wheel to do this, again, there are other ways this can be done. You can take a copy of the graphic, you can lay it out on a board, and you can use your dice and throw your dice and see what they land on. Or you can put numbers in a basket or in a cup and draw the number out randomly for which parallel reality you may contemplate in the guidance that we will provide for you. So it is important, not so much exactly which way you do this, but the fact that you do it in a way that allows for randomness, because randomness is part of the idea of breaking continuity from your particular reality experience. So however it is that you prefer to create a random ability to draw a number from 1 to 8 will be just fine and will work perfectly for this particular exercise or permission slip. So now you can allow yourselves, while still allowing yourselves to look at the graphic, and in a moment you can enjoy other images, but for now keep focused on the graphic so that we can continue to explain how this particular meditation exercise that you will do on your own time will be best for you to experience. So let's for now just take the example, let's say, of the United States of Atlantis, which exists in a parallel reality. The idea behind this, if you will now simply go along with this for a moment, is to begin to contemplate on your own in a meditation all the differences you can imagine that might exist in that particular parallel reality. We will start you off as an example here for the moment with the idea that as people from the indigenous cultures in the Americas migrated eastward and created the culture you know as Atlantis, they continued to expand, to grow, and over time into what you consider to be the present of that particular parallel reality have expanded not only throughout North, Central, and South American continents, but also to some degree into what you consider to be the so-called European, Mediterranean, and African areas to an extent. But the idea is that in the Americas, there is sections that were created to be separate areas for various reasons that became states as you understand them to some degree. But this expanded into the United States of Atlantis because Atlantis incurred itself into the European and African and to some degree Asian continents before Europe developed in a way that would allow Europe to come across the Atlantic to the Americas early on in history. That did not happen in this reality. So by the time people in the areas you would consider to be Europe were even capable of crossing the ocean to any great extent, Atlantis had already established itself strongly in the North, Central, South American, European, and African continents, and a bit into Asia, to the degree that they became the dominant presence on that version of Earth. Now, Atlantean architecture, in many people's imaginations, has been depicted somewhat as Grecian or similar to Grecian architecture. But this is not the way Atlantis actually appeared. The clues that you have that are presented in what you call Aztecan, Mayan, and Incan architecture with megalithic stone blocks and pyramids and a variety of other structures that look more like the structures you would find in Central and South America today in your timeline, are really more representative of the architectural style of Atlantis. And so the idea here would be that if you choose in the meditation you will do in your own time to focus on that particular parallel reality, the idea would be to make yourself comfortable, play music if you wish of whatever style helps induce you into the meditative state, and start using your imagination to dive deeply into that particular reality, seeing the images of the architecture, the people, that would be a mix of many different places, just as it is in your America today. Ultimately, because you're looking at this from the present, from the United States of Atlantis, and start seeing in your imagination many of the differences. See what the streets look like. See what the lighting looks like with Atlantean crystals. Allow yourself to really dive deep and immerse yourself in your imagination into many of the differences that would exist in that particular parallel reality, or any other reality that you so choose. The idea of the exercise with music of your choice that would be somewhat representative of the reality you're exploring. You can let your imagination be your guide in this, but you can allow yourself to dive deeply and feel that you are actually a denizen, an inhabitant of this particular parallel reality, so that eventually, as you practice this in different meditations at different times, you will actually start to feel yourself as if you are there, and ideas will present themselves to you that are part and parcel of that reality. You will see things that belong in that reality. You will hear things and learn information that are part of that reality. And as you do this exercise and stretch your imagination this way, and there is no right or wrong way to perceive this, because it's all just about the stretching more than the idea of any accuracy of what's in that reality. Because remember, no matter how it is depicted in your imagination, it is going to be some version of a real reality in a parallel alternate universe. So it's all right if different people see slightly different things, because the idea of each of these 8 depictions is just acting as a seed to get you into a particular framework, but each of those particular frameworks can be different and expressed very differently in a multitude of parallel realities, each of which taking their cue from that particular general seed that we present to you here today in this particular permission slip. So it's all right if there are a multitude of differences. Each of you will have your own experience in whatever version of that parallel reality you so desire that is relevant for you to see. And each of the things you do experience will be relevant for the being you are in that reality. So allow your imagination to be your guide. Allow yourself to write down, after you take that experience for about 15 of your minutes in that meditative state, exploring deeply into that parallel universe. Afterwards, when you come out of it, when you emerge, write down all of the things you saw, you heard, you felt, you experienced in that parallel reality version that you allowed yourself to connect to vibrationally. And as you do that, again, not for the purpose of so much detaching or disconnecting or dissociating from the timeline that is relevant for you here and now, but the idea is that you will have stretched yourself to such a degree in certain ways so that you will bring that ability back with you into this timeline, so that you can stretch into the different versions of this timeline that are more relevant for you every single time you do this. So you're using, paradoxically, other parallel realities that allow you to stretch your imagination in fun ways to actually stretch your imagination for this timeline, so that you can make sure that what you do experience in this timeline is always going to be in alignment as best as it possibly can be with what is relevant for you to experience your true self and live your passion in this lifetime, whatever that may be, according to who you truly are. So let us now just go through one of these ideas. Pick whichever one of these 8 realities you so desire, and allow yourself to become comfortable. Doesn't matter which one it is. Doesn't even matter if you decide to do more than one or shift around. Again, for now, this is just for the purpose of stretching. So don't worry about it. You're not doing it wrong. Just pick something at random and allow yourself to become comfortable. And now you may, if you wish, allow yourself to just experience a number of different images and music that goes along with whatever it is you have chosen. Let it be random for the moment. Let this be what it needs to be for the moment. You will get the opportunity when you do this on your own to pick whatever music or lighting you so desire, or images you so desire, if you wish to do it that way. But for now, just as a way to practice this exercise, to get used to this idea of stretching your imagination, just go with the flow of what you are presented with at this moment. So as the music now, and as the images now begin to shift, whatever reality you have chosen, allow yourself to become comfortable, breathe easily, and allow yourself to dive more deeply into it. And as you do so, as you continue to breathe, allow the images to crystallize around you, whatever that reality is that you have chosen. Allow yourself to imagine that you are now an inhabitant, a citizen, an experiencer in the reality of your choice, in this alternate universe. Allow yourself to find yourself standing wherever it seems most appropriate for you to be standing, whether it be on land or sea or in the air, surrounded by what this reality looks like. Be you in the country, be you in a city, doesn't matter. Be you in a forest, be you in a desert, doesn't matter. Right now, you are simply allowing yourself to crystallize your consciousness into this alternate universe, into this alternate reality. Begin to allow your imagination to bring you whatever images for now are apropos. If they seem different than the reality you chose, then just go with it, because that's the reality that is resonating to you right now. Again, there's no wrong way, and randomness is part of this process. So if you find yourself in a different reality than what you chose, that's fine, just go with it. These are only acting as seeds to get you where you need to be at this moment. But you are in an alternate universe in terms of the projection of your consciousness, and you are now an inhabitant in that particular alternate universe. Allow yourself to move through whatever it is you are seeing around you. Again, Whether you're walking down a street, whether you're walking through a forest, doesn't matter. Allow yourself to move around freely in the way that you would if you really did live there. Because right now, there is, at this moment, through this exercise and permission slip, right now, there is a version of you in this reality. You are projecting this now as we speak. You are creating this version in this particular version of any of the seed realities we have presented to you. So a version of you, whether it be an extension of the oversoul or some other kind of parallel reality counterpart, matters not. It is some version of the greater you, similar to the incarnation you are experiencing here and now in that reality. And so you are now seeing through that version's eyes, that version's senses, and experiencing through that version's perception and perspective. So let yourself feel more fully immersed, like you belong there. This is your reality now. That version of you, that's that version's reality. It is used to it, it knows it, it lives there, it breathes it. It is the reality it considers to be his or her timeline. Allow yourselves, again, as you roam, to view different things. Allow different things to present themselves to you. Maybe someone comes up and speaks to you. Maybe you simply walk into a particular building and look at what is inside. Maybe you're overhearing conversations. Maybe you find yourself in a group that is specifically doing some particular task. Again, it matters not. Just allow yourself to stretch into this reality and absorb all that you can with the senses of that version of your being in that reality. Just pay attention. You are an observer here. You are a participant, but you're also an observer. You're allowing the version of you in this timeline to be an observer in the back of the consciousness of that version. This version of you is going along for a ride, being the observer within the consciousness of that version of you that is experiencing that alternate reality. Just go along for the ride. Let the music guide you, let the images guide you, or create your own. Allow yourself now to interact a little bit more freely. Start making decisions in that reality about what you would prefer to do based on some of the information that has been presented to you, based on the experiences that may be presenting themselves to you, even as memories of that life. In other words, that version will draw upon its own memories of its own past experiences, just in the same way that you do, to make decisions about what it prefers to do in that reality. Start really living in that reality in the way you live in this reality, in this timeline. Start understanding how you are connected to the history of that universe, of that version of Earth. Allow yourself to breathe more deeply of that atmosphere, of that reality. It is just as real as the one that you believe you experienced here, because it's all coming from consciousness anyway. So allow yourself to really make that reality the home of that version of you. You are there as that you, that version of you. Allow yourself to freely interact, be more creative in that reality. Allow that version of you to act on its passion, even though it might be somewhat different than the version in this timeline of your passion. Allow it to follow the formula in that reality. And allow what happens to happen, knowing that everything is happening for a reason. Go with the flow of that reality. Let yourself drift in the current that is relevant for that reality. And marvel as the observer at the differences that are coming up. Some of them may seem to be somewhat similar to your experiences in this reality. Some of them may seem to be vastly different. Be fascinated by the differences. Be curious about the differences. For it is in those differences that you will stretch your imagination for this reality, for this timeline, to open up to more probabilities that are relevant for you in this reality, by being more fascinated and curious about the vast differences between that reality and this one. You're stretching now. You're stretching. You're seeing how much that version of you enjoys what to you may seem to be something very different than you've ever experienced in your life. But even if there are similarities, there is still a deep appreciation of that version of you in that reality for having those experiences. Bring that appreciation back with you into this reality so that you can appreciate everything that happens. You can savor every moment, its beauty, its depth, and be in a state of grace and gratitude. Allow yourself to drift in that alternate reality for a moment. Just observe all the things around you, where you are, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the touch, the sensation of the weather. Those that come up to you, what they have to say, what it is that version of you might feel like it needs to say to others. Breathe it in deeply, for it is always going to be part of you now. Even if this timeline has a different focus that is relevant for the version of you that you are here and now, your excursions, the more you do them into these alternate reality seeds, will always be part of this timeline too, because it is for the purpose of allowing you to know that you can always stretch your imagination farther and farther and farther to access all of the probabilities that are relevant for you, that will allow you to allow this timeline to unfold in the way that is most in alignment with your truth, your joy, and your deep appreciation of life. Breathe it in. Go with the flow as it comes to you from all the different alternate realities that your consciousness shifts through and passes through to make up the timeline you know to be your own as this version of you. You are a greater being than you know. This exercise and this permission slip allows you to take advantage of the true expanse of your consciousness. Again, not for the purpose of detaching or dissociating in any negative way from this reality, but for the purpose of stretching your understanding and imagination and willingness to allow what needs to come to you that will serve you and fulfill you in this life to come more easily, more effortlessly, so that you may experience a life of synchronicity in a way that serves you, so that you may navigate through all the different parallel reality versions that exist simultaneously with you, that will allow you to experience in sequence the frames that are relevant for your best possible path as yourself in this life. Still being connected to all those realities, they will observe through you as you have observed through them what it is you learn. So your experience in this reality will also enrich their experiences in their versions of reality too. No matter how different they may seem, they will always carry a part of you with them as you will carry a part of them with you forward in your experience of this life. Continue to breathe gently and easily and just absorb it all, and allow yourself to slowly emerge from your permission slip parallel reality wheel meditation as your music softens and your images fade back to this timeline, back to us, back to here and now. Know that you will always carry within you this experience, and it will serve you. It will come up. It will remind you at appropriate times throughout this life to stretch your imagination in those moments, to reach out and absorb the information coming to you that serves you in this reality from those other realities, even as you are providing information and experience to all of them in ways that will serve them too, so that you can start functioning more holistically as a greater being, even as you function as the individuals more clearly that you actually chose to be in each of the parallel realities in which the greater you has chosen to exist. So be here now, and as you then utilize this particular permission slip when you wish, in whatever way you wish to choose them randomly, you can even start adding your own parallel reality ideas to this. It is up to you to use this in whatever way works for you. But we thank you for allowing us to take you through this particular very exciting permission slip and allowing yourself to stretch your imaginations with us so that you may truly experience yourself to the fullness that it is possible for you to be here and now. We thank you, our unconditional love to you all, and we remind you that in using this permission slip, it is about playing, having fun, opening up, relaxing, and just giving your imagination the freedom that it deserves. Good day.